Welcome back to Breakfast Central. If you're just joining us, it's time to look at the big stories making the headlines today on the papers. We'll be analyzing this with public affairs analyst Deyemi Saka. Good morning, happy holidays.
Good morning. Well, you're working.
Well, no peace for the wicked, but I'm not a wicked person. Anyway, that being said, we're opening the phone lines for you to call. If you'd like to react to any of the stories that we're taking this morning, the numbers to call are on your TV screen. Please remember to turn down the volume of your TV set before you call. And let's start with our first paper this morning, which is the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch, Salah celebration makes the big headline. Tinubu, Buhari, Sultan can prefer solutions to hardship. President urges citizens to share with one another. Buhari seeks return to farm. Okay. 2 falling trucks worsen gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Cholera, Lagos opens emergency center. UNICEF urges water provision. Police probe death of US-based businessman in Lagos hotel. 17 billion naira debt. GT Bank drags 60 bank chiefs to court. Food inflation soars by 61% in 1 year, according to NBS. Minimum wage. Federal government pushes 62,000 naira pay despite Labour's opposition. And final story, crude supply, modular refineries back Dangote, seek Tinubu's intervention. That's all on the Punch. Let's move to the Vanguard.
Vanguard newspapers this morning, it says foreign portfolio investors in massive return to Nigeria as market share rises to 28-month high. Also shares up external reserves. Analysts attribute development to CBN's hawkish monetary policy. Ooh. Eid al-Kabir, Tinubu, Shatima, Buhari, governors, Khan and others preach peace and sacrifice once again. Pandef to Tinubu, removal of RSA is provocative. And we can also find a minimum wage, Labor and tripartite committee chair in verbal war. We can see a picture there of the president and Aliko Dangote and a few others at the Eid prayers over the weekend, I believe. Tinubu inherited a dead economy. Presidency tackles New York Times. And also, if I knew what we were getting involved in, we wouldn't have. And that is from Aliko Dangote. He was speaking about his refinery. NFF stabbed me in the back, says Finidi George. Drama over the weekend also with Finidi and Victor Osimhen. Of course, the sports guys would address that later.
Yes.
But that's all on the Vanguard.
All right, on the Nation newspaper, the big story, Eid al-Adha, sacrifice key to nation building, says Tinubu. I imagine that if the current administration had to sing a particular song at the karaoke bar, we sacrifice. Shatima, Buhari, Sultan canvass massive food production. Ex-president raises the alarm over danger of population explosion. President not to blame for economic crisis. New York Times got it wrong, and this is on page 7. Interesting. CBN keeps $2.9 billion deposit in special account to stabilize forex markets. Okay. Edo 2024, Shaibu declares support for APC candidate Okpebolo and the plot tickets. Confusion over tenure of Rivers Council chairman. That's all on the front of the paper. Now, starting with let's start to talk about sacrifice. President Tinubu says that sacrifice is the key to nation building. Is the current administration well within its right to call for sacrifice? I mean, they've called for sacrifice. They've said that we should share. I think that was on the front page of the Punch newspaper. People should share with each other in this time. So others have criticized that they're not the right set of people to tell us to sacrifice.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're demanding us to start sacrificing our blood or whatever, because the hardship we experience and this administration plunges into it. So I don't know why you're asking us to sacrifice. I don't know. Maybe until we'll start taking ourselves to their altar, placing ourselves as human sacrifice all over. I mean, that's when those guys will believe Nigerians are suffering. And it's quite insensitive for a man that has expanded. This is the largest cabinet we've ever had since 1999. And it's still speculated that we should expect an expansion of this cabinet, and you're asking us to sacrifice. It's unfair, it's ridiculous. I think these people should go back. If they don't have a thinking cap, they should go get one or buy or source, rather than pushing the blames or the burden to Nigerians. You said you have the magic wand. I remember Vice President Shetima, during the campaign, said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will face the economy while he will face the security. And we're seeing what they are doing right now. We can see the effect of it. So why are they asking us to? I'm in a happy mood. Please, don't let us, lose it. I'm in a very happy mood.
Yeah, I mean,
at least I'm alive.
Okay. Well, another story, I think it's also on the point, I'm not sure now, but the one about the response to the New York Times.
That's still on the front page of the
Yes.
Nation newspaper. It says
Tinubu inherited a
President,
dead economy.
yeah, that he's not to blame for the economic crisis.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty of it is we are not having 16 years of PDP anymore. But at least they should be bold enough to say 8 years of APC by APC. And the economy was not dead. The economy was in a bad shape but wasn't dead. If the economy is dead, the economy just died or started dying from May 29, 2023. And you know, and it's funny, and this is me jumping onto another issue, because there's some special funds set aside for Forex, what we could say defending the Naira. It's the same policy you're criticizing Emefiele for. I don't know. These people are confused in power.
I don't know if confusion is the right word, because the thing is, you know, and I know I've asked this question since 2015, you know, is it that they are underqualified or overwhelmed? You know, are they overwhelmed, or, you know, they got in there and then they realized that, you know, they really just don't know what is going on? But this is the thing. Every single person, you know, Yemi Cardoso is a well-trained professional. And Wale Edu is a well-trained professional also. And pretty much the same thing with Godwin Emefiele, you know, back then. So it's not because they do not know what needs to be done. There's something else that is a problem that we still have not been able to figure out. At some point, you know, even if someone argues, if a random person argues that this is intentional, you can't even, at some point, you probably have to start believing such, you know, person that says it's intentional that they are ruining the economy this way, because it makes no sense, you know, that we've had this same, you know, situation back to back for the last 9 years. It started from the Buhari administration. It's not gotten better. We've not had 6-month period since 2015 where we say, okay, the economy has improved.
Or stable foreign exchange. I think it's some people. I think it has to come to a point where people realize what they were made for, what they are made for.
All right. Let's hold on with that thought and take a call. Bankole calling from Ogun State. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning. I want to comment on the issue of sacrifice that our president is calling for. We discover that they are not living what they are telling us. Things are becoming very, very difficult in the country. They are living in affluence, and they have the gut to be showing it to the masses, and they are telling us that we should continue to give sacrifice to do. I don't know the type of sacrifice Nigerians are ready to give again. We are almost pushed to the wall, and they need to go out and see things for themselves. The common people are actually suffering. I pray God will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bankole, for that. Bankole. Yes, indeed. People are already pushed to the wall at this point.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think it's time for people to start, you know, realizing, accepting what they're made for. I think the APC and the crop of its members is just, these guys are made for opposition. I think that's the service they're meant to render to this country. Good opposition, keep the government in place, you know, on its toes. Not for them to be in office, because since they got into office, it's been disastrous.
Another question that I ask, however, is a number of the times they would criticize the fact, or they would link the current administration, the current woes that we experience as a country, to policies being made, policies starting from the ending of fuel subsidy. And this is something that all the main contenders said they were going to do when they got into office. So could we have really avoided the current reality that we have? Before you answer that, let's take this call from David. Good morning, David. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead. All right. It doesn't seem David is there. So do you think that we could have had any other different reality?
When President Goodluck Jonathan removed subsidy, and I was with a former commander-in-chief, we sat down, and some people trying to, you know, sound, you know, sympathetic or trying to sound, okay?
Apologies, please. David, can you hear us?
I'm still here. I'm talking now.
All right, please go ahead.
Good morning. Yes. I said, yes, everybody is suffering. We agree. But the issue is this. Who is not actually suffering? Even the president himself is very much concerned. What we are saying is people should be patient. If the president comes to solve a problem of this country, this present president inherits all these problems. And we should be patient and pray. And when somebody said we are pushed to the wall, nobody that is not pushed to the wall. That's why it doesn't mean that we the commoners, should resort to lawlessness. It will not help us. The only thing is that we should pray for this government to succeed because this country belongs to us. We have no other country. This is what I always...
The last one, David, we prayed for the last one to succeed. We've been praying. We prayed for, Goodluck Jonathan. We prayed for your previous government, to succeed. It's not led us anywhere. So what do you mean by pray for this government to succeed?
The other day, you said it. They were fined 150 million for increasing the recharging. But today, instead of giving the subscriber, they took their money back or give them one month. They are still charging their money now. They are still paying. Please, you people should let the government know of what is happening. If the government can respect the law, then why...
David, thanks a lot. Mr.
I think
Saka, please go ahead.
There's nobody that has preached lawlessness, Nobody has preached lawlessness, and I think it's you cannot start telling Nigerians that this government met a lot of mess, and it's like we are 60 feet down before you guys got into office, and you've plunged just 50 feet more. We are now 120 feet deeper or down. Are you not telling us that it's going to take us forever to either come out of this, or we are not going to come out at all? So who is responsible for digging us deeper? Is it because we're in a, I don't want to borrow Donald Trump's word, in a hole, and somebody gets there in a bid to rescue? Because if you met a bad situation on ground, the sign that you are walking, but it shouldn't even be a speedy recovery, but we should see a gradual recovery and a repair of the economy and a reflection of it on our lives. But not that the recovery you're giving us is more hardship. That's not recovery. You are just inflicting more pains, and we probably will not recover. And that's the truth.
Okay. I want us to, move into some other things this morning. That I think I saw something on the Punch before we bring in Stephen. Crude supply, modular refineries back Dangote, 6 Tinubu's intervention. We'll have you quickly speak on that, and how we can manage the modular refinery aspect of crude production. Good morning, Stephen. Stephen, good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, morning.
All right, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, good morning. In respect to your discussion this morning, the young man said we should pray. Like you said, for how long do we keep praying in Nigeria? I believe any government or president, before he comes into government, he must have known what was wrong and what was on ground. When they were campaigning, they never told us that we should pray. They make us to understand that those problems we had before previous government will be resolved. At least there should be some certain improvement in what they do. Rather than that, what we see is that this government comes, it becomes very deteriorating. Things went bad. If Buhari was not doing what he's supposed to do, and he came in place, and he said, why will it come and aggravate the situation on them already? Like your guest here spoke. I remember in 2011, government of Goodluck tried to remove subsidy. They went to Ojota, campaign, eat, wine and die, call him all sorts of names that he wants to keep Nigerians. Today, they have followed that path, and it's all well, in a very hard way. For how long can we continue to be suffering in the hands of people and be patient? You come petrol is 180, you move it on to 700, and you tell us to be patient. Good luck to Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that call. I mean, it's a very interesting ask. But I'd like to react to something that he said, which is also something that David said. And I don't think there's anything wrong in praying for Nigeria. On the contrary, I think you should actually pray for your country. You should pray for the success.
Every day, God bless Nigeria is one of the strongest prayer.
Yes, I agree. So I'm not against praying for Nigeria. I think that it's important for those who are people of faith to pray for Nigeria. But praying for Nigeria does not absolve the government of its responsibilities. You can be praying for the country and asking the questions, the right questions. In fact,
it shouldn't even be a state policy that we should be praying for Nigeria.
I think we should make it a state policy. Put it part of the constitution.
We do every time we sing. Every time we used to sing the former national anthem. I don't know. Maybe a bit of the current.
I think we should take it out of our conversations completely.
But yeah, I just feel like people then overemphasize that. Oh, pray or not to pray. Pray if you want to pray. If you don't want to pray, don't pray.
Do they pray in China?
Well, I don't know. I don't live in China.
Or do they keep saying pray for China like you say in Nigeria? Where's China? Where's Nigeria?
In Singapore, I don't think any of the people who moved Singapore from where it was, Lee Kuan Yew and the rest,
said they should be praying.
And I agree with you.
They didn't push for
that
prayer
again,
or anything like that.
Sometimes the overdependence on religion and faith shows up when the government has failed, because in more developed climes, people hardly do say pray for the country. But my own is, you can go ahead and pray.
The only reason we have these conversations is mostly because, again, like you've mentioned, failure of government and the failure of our societies. We wouldn't have this level of attraction to prayer if we didn't have this level of failure of government. That's why we have it. Nobody was born, and it's not. So Nigerians are born into a society, right? From whenever you were born in the 70s, 80s, you're already born into a society where there's so much attention to church and to prayer.
Prayer for basic things
basic things. And so there be light. And so you then convince yourself that it's part of the responsibilities to pray for your country and pray for your governor and pray for any of all those.
All right, let's take our next caller. Let's see if he's going to be praying for Nigeria. We have Tony calling from Benue State. Good morning, Tony. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay. I think the Nigerians, their hand is tight. And that is why some people, because of being tight, all the result is to say pray, pray. I think we have gotten to the stage that the NGO and those people, they have to organize Nigeria on the way forward. And I think the way forward is that we must think on how our electoral system will be getting right. Because all these things started from not having a good election. Let me tell you, I've been with some politicians. When radio program or TV program is going on like this and is against them, they will be laughing and say they are making noise. Honestly. Radio program and television program speaking against politicians, some of them will be laughing and say they are against us because they know that our hand is tight. I think we have to get it right from election, and all this mess will stop. Good morning.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony, for calling. Anyway, let's quickly see how many more stories we can take.
But I think we didn't talk about the subsidy and the refineries.
Yeah,
yes,
modular refineries.
Yeah, and I think that was, you bring us back to your question that other contestants, aspirants said we're going to remove subsidy. You can't remove subsidy without even putting some things in place, like a refining capacity for your nation. Do you really deregulate the market to bring about the competitiveness that is needed to either push down the price and regulate the market? But no, you didn't do that. You're trying to sound tough, talking like I'm the Don in the building, and we saw the effects of that pronouncement. And back to what I was saying, that was how the same former head of state told the people on ground that the removal of subsidy there was ill-timed. So the removal of subsidy now was obviously ill-timed because things that should be in place before the removal were not in place. Our refineries were not working. The so-called Dangote refinery they kept believing or saying was going to solve our problem to tomorrow has not started even giving, products for marketers. Modular refineries are not in place. So how do we want to cope? And the sad thing about it, the annoying thing about it is they still paid subsidy in that year. Because you cannot tell me because of the difference or the differential in the exchange rate, it makes sense for you to be buying a liter of PMS at 600 something. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, because it was that removal that jacked up the exchange rate, and the exchange rate kept going higher. So naturally, the price of at the market end of it, it should be higher.
Right.
So trying to find a way to put it around 500, 600 there was a sort of subsidy.
Okay, let's sort of try our attempt to end the show on a good or sweet note. On the front page of the Vanguard, foreign portfolio investors in massive return to Nigeria. We're seeing here as market share rises up to 28-month high, shores up external reserves. Analysts attribute development to CBN's hawkish monetary policies. This is something you're excited about.
So,
I'm looking into the details of the story, and we're seeing that FPIs as fresh inflows amounting to 120.8 billion naira came into the market in April 2024, recording a fourth consecutive month-on-month rise this year.
So the market that got increased by 25% from what? Who plunged it that low? And to what level is it now?
Well, I don't think it's more of percent here. They're saying at least it's risen to a 28-month high.
28 month high. Okay, yeah. How low was it? And who took it that low? And the high now, the highness now, or the height it has attained, at what level is it? And when people drop news like 180 something billion, is it dollars or naira? So
in 2023, April 2023, FPIs had dropped to as low as 4% as at last year. So they've seen significant increase. But this was, of course, before resuming an uptrend following some policy pronouncements, including unification of exchange rate, fuel subsidy removal, which analysts believe had injected confidence in the foreign investors. And
investors are still leaving. If you look at the size of the investors coming in to the size of the investors leaving, is this something to clap about? I don't think so. So as much as we want to end the program on a high note, I think we're still using this low time.
Well, CBN's monetary policy, their rates, the monetary policy.
So if you want to praise the CBN for its monetary policy, let me see the exchange rate falling as low as 600 naira to a dollar and 750 naira to a pound. Let's start from there. They will say, okay, fine, there's a recovery in place. But it's still around, what's the exchange rate?
That's a wishful thinking.
You now say there's monetary
that feels more like wishful thinking at this point.
No, but you see with the CBN monetary policy, nothing has changed.
Well, anyway, Deyemi Saka, it's always good to have you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you, the lady in red.
All right.